Hello, Ghost Traders. My name is Angelique with Ghost Trades, and it's time for your market update for July 30th, 2023. We are back into earnings season, and a lot of reports are coming out in our crazy world at the moment, from UFO hearings where they're talking about non-human biologics, from UFO crash sites, to our political climate being hotter than the global boiling that they're trying to push on us. Yes, things are getting a bit crazy. So on Monday, manufacturing came in a bit higher at 49.0 than it's expected, 46.1. But the flash services PMI came in lower at 52.4 from its expected 54.0. Now, neither of which affected the charts too much. Tuesday's consumer confidence also improved again for July to 117.0, up from 110.1 in June. And on Wednesday, the Fed unanimously hiked its policy interest rate range 25 bips to between 5.25 to 5.5%, which is the highest level for 22 years. And states further policy firming may be appropriate. So we're looking forward to that. On Thursday, unemployment claims came in lower than expected, all while durable goods and wholesale inventories also came in better than expected. In fact, even our pending home sales month over month was up from expected as well. On Thursday, the Bank of Japan caused some anxiety in our markets before the governor's announcement. Now, when it comes to Japan, any big adjustment to the yield curve control policy does have ramifications for our treasury market because households in Japan are one of the largest buyers of American debt. So the the thought process behind it is that if yields in Japan become more attractive, US government bonds would be sold in order to buy the Asian nation's debt. Now, that being said, the governor announced on Friday that the central bank would allow yields to rise above a ceiling it now calls a point of reference. And rise they did. Yields on the 10-year Japanese government bonds jumped to their highest since 2014. But it wasn't as high as most had feared, and Thursday's dive in our market rebounded quite a bit and was able to hold for an inside day. Now let's look at that SPX chart. So on the SPX, you can see here on Thursday, which is this candle right there, this Thursday candle, that ended up just plummeting down throughout the day. And then, of course, on Friday, here's that inside day candle. Now, I want to show you something. This is a daily candle, meaning every single day is one candle. So it opens, it goes as high as it's going to go, as low as it's going to go, and then it finally closes. Well, one thing to always keep in mind, even though we do stay on those day charts most of the time, is try looking at, say, a 1 hour chart or 60-minute, should I say, candle. So when we look at this, what this is going to show us is, yes, we saw that really huge red candle, but we're also able to see how that candle was formed. So we can see that it started out a little high, and then throughout the day, it just plummeted down. Now, if you're paying attention to any type of fundamentals throughout the day while you're trading, it's just going to help you to know that, or kind of help you to know how those candles actually form. So again, we see that daily candle, but then we go down to our 60-minute candles, or our 1 hour candles, should I say, and we're able to see that. And of course, right here, we see Friday, and we also see that it opened up a little higher, because again, it closed down here. So it opened right here for Friday, and it was able to overall, even though it took a little bit of a dip down midday, it was able to close pretty much near its high for the day. So again, just kind of keep in mind what's going on whenever it comes to your charts. Now, overall in the week, we had a ton of economic data come out, and that all shows the probability of a soft landing with this with our economy, and with many, or at least the tech sector, where they're talking less and less about a recession and more about how AI is going to do during this earnings seasons. Many feel that all of this can be a catalyst for a bullish market. And I get that. Yes, things are still, according to the charts, looking up, but the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And we must continue learning and getting really good at trading to the downside for whenever this ends up happening. Now, speaking of Friday, we also had the core PCE price index come in exactly as expected, but the employment cost index quarter over quarter came in lower than expected, as did personal income and consumer sentiment. Now, the only numbers to rise came from personal spending month over month, and that rose just a skosh, but it normally doesn't have a large impact on the market anyway. So, as for earnings last week, let's go to that earnings calendar. And all we need to do is come over here to find and then go down to our earnings calendar. Now, once here, we're going to see all of our earnings. It says EPS, and we're just going to click on that. And there's a handful here. Now, one of the things I want you to see, again, we're talking about the fact that a lot of things are going up in the market right now, and we're looking at these charts, and you can see a bunch of earnings that came in positive. So we only have one here, which is Alexandria Real Estate Equities Incorporated, and that was the only one that actually did not meet its earnings. And we go on here for Tuesday, and we see a little more red, but by and large, we've got a lot of earnings that are making their mark. Same with earnings on Wednesday. Again, these already happened, of course. So we just see a lot of green in all the different sectors. And by the way, if you want to look at the different sectors and everything that goes on inside these companies whenever you're looking at earnings, because we want to pay attention to the fundamentals surrounding this, you're able to go in to insider score as far as who's actually trading it. Can also look at some valuations, some financial strengths of the companies. We can go directly into fundamental, and again, you see here earnings, and it's going to give you a bunch of information there. Obviously, options allows you to trade it, so we can go into our different options over here as well and trade right within your system. But again, just really be cognizant of whenever you're trading. For example, if we're looking at Chipotle, we can also go in and we can look at the sector. In the industry for Chipotle is restaurant and bars, but let's also look at consumer discretionary, see what's happening with the sector as a whole. Now, that doesn't mean that a couple companies can't, a couple of the bigger companies, let's say if we're looking at, say, Apple, well, what is Apple doing for the tech sector? We can see that even if the tech sector is kind of going down, Apple can pull that back up because it's such a big company. But again, make sure that you're looking at your sectors as well when it comes to whatever it is that you choose to potentially trade as far as earnings. And remember too, you can trade earnings, you can trade before the earnings announcement, or you can trade after the earnings announcement. Remember, earnings are traded or they're brought out before the market opens or after the market closes. And just one example is the technology sector. If I'm going to look at, let's say, everything in technology, I can go to the chart, and XLK happens to be that technology sector. So I'm able to go in and just kind of see what's going on overall with just technology, knowing that what I may potentially trade is in this sector. Let's say, again, if I was going to trade an actual technology sector earnings. So just again, keep in mind that that is something that you can do. And then let's look at what we can start following for next week in earnings. So again, I'm going to go back over here to find. I'm going to hit my calendar. And on Monday, the 31st, personally, one of the ones that I'm going to be looking at here is called ON Semiconductor Corporation, ticker symbol ON. On Tuesday, I'm going to look at AMD, which is Advanced Micro Devices. I'm going to look at NCLH. Here we go, right up here. The Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. On Wednesday, I'm going to look at PayPal, which is PYPL. Just some of the ones that I'm looking at. As you can see, there's so many on here and so many to choose from. And directly from here, once again, we can go into the chart. We can go into what's happening on the inside. go into our fundamentals, our valuations, everything, so we can see exactly what's going on. We have a lot to choose from on Thursday. I'm personally going to be looking at Apple and Amazon. And then Friday, I'll be taking a look at Dominion as well as PPL Corporation. So again, this is where you're going to find your earnings, and do some research before you put any trades on with them. And just overall, just keep an eye on the earnings, and keep up with your community, and kind of get on our lives whenever you can. And you're going to understand eventually how to work with your earnings announcements in no time at all. And again, remember, there's two ways you can do that. You can put a trade on before that earnings announcement, or you can look at what happened during the earnings announcement and kind of play the other side of it, where it's after everything happened, and you can kind of look at it going back to, a lot of times it'll just revert right back to its mean. So as for next week, we don't have a whole lot happening on Monday. On Tuesday, we have ISM manufacturing job openings as well to keep an eye on. On Wednesday, we have ADP's non-farm. Thursday, we've got job cuts, unemployment claims, non-farm productivity, final, and ISM services PMI, as well as factory orders month over month. And then finally on Friday, that's the big day with our non-farm payroll, average hourly earnings month over month, and unemployment rate, all happening an hour before the market opens. Now, you've probably heard me say this before, but get into your charts and keep an eye on things during that non-farm payroll report. Now, you're going to see some really crazy movements whenever this report comes out. Completely normal. It happens all the time. But overall, it's just good to see how the market can move. It's kind of humbling, and it reminds us that we need to manage our risk. Good money management in the market is key, regardless of what you trade in the market. Well, Ghost Traders, that is all for the week. As always, get organized surrounding your trading in life as well. Stay safe in the markets by using good money management practices, and please be sure to stay in contact with us, your trading community, if you have any questions, and we will see you on our live sessions. And until then, happy trading.